Iran is not funding Boko Haram. Iran has never funded Boko Haram. If you want to argue with me, keep away emotions and talk with facts. I want you to quote me any source, any international source, whether from FBI, whether from CIA, whether from Mossad, whether from any agency that has explicitly published or any intelligence report to show that Iran is sponsoring Boko Haram. You see, I'm tired of hearing this statement. I'm not supporting Iran, but we are here to give the facts straight. You see, I'm tired of hearing this statement that many people always come and say Iran is sponsoring Boko Haram, Iran is sponsoring Boko Haram, quoting from the arms shipments that were stopped or that were captured in 2010 in Lagos port. Now, those arms shipments captured in 2010 in Lagos port was not destined for terrorists in Nigeria. There have not been any credible evidence or documented evidence, neither from the government of Nigeria or from any other government, to conveniently prove that those consignment of AK-47, most of the weapons are Western-made weapons, and coming from Iran, were actually destined for terrorists in Nigeria. Note, an Islamic Revolutionary Guard member was indicted for being the one to supply those arms and be responsible for those arms. Now, where were those arms going to? Were they going to terrorists in Nigeria? No, they weren't. And that is why the perpetrators caught with these arms were given 5 years each, 5 years. You cannot do such a crime and you are sentenced to only 5 years in prison. That is huge crime, and you can only be sentenced to 5 years in prison. Go and do your research and come back and prove to me that Iran is sponsoring terrorism in Nigeria, Boko Haram in Nigeria. First, Boko Haram is Sunni. You understand? Boko Haram is a Sunni group, and Iran is a Shia Christians. And these two people have ideological difference. The ideological difference is day and night. Day and night. There are two extremists when it comes to Muslims. And second, because of their Shia and their Sunnis idea, they can never meet. They have no link whatsoever. Second, the ISIS group in Nigeria that is operating and it is also against the Shia group. They see the Shia group, that is Iran, as being infidel and extremist. And that is why even in Iraq, this ISIS group has been fighting Iran, has been fighting Iranian-backed allies, and have been fighting Iranian-backed allies. You see, so Iran can never, ideologically, never align itself with that group. If Iran actually wanted to sponsor those groups that you're talking about, excuse me, Africa is so vulnerable that nothing will cause them, it will cause them nothing to sponsor. Strategically, geographically, Iran has nothing to gain sponsoring those groups because Iran's main objective is to become powerful in the Middle East. Iran has no strategic objective to gain in Africa in terms of that destabilizing Nigeria. Iran has nothing to gain in destabilizing Nigeria. First, most of Nigerian transactions, even if Nigeria wants to run to help, Nigeria will never run to help to Iran. So Iran has nothing to do with that group. So if you look at that arms, where according to findings, the container of arms shipments that were caught were tested. They said Lagos was being used as a transportation route, where it was explained that some of those arms were going to Casimirian in Senegal. There is a rebel movement in Senegal that is fighting to break away from Senegal. They were using Nigeria as a hub to transport their weapons into Senegal. And some of them were now also being shuttled to enter into Gaza Strip such that Israel will not be able to identify it. So you can go to your research, type any of your AI that is there, is Iran funding Boko Haram. Type anywhere and come and prove me that Iran. So sometimes when you hear Christians supporting America or Muslims supporting Iran on social media, they look at it from a Christian perspective. But when you take away the fact that you are a Muslim, that is why you are supporting Iran, and you take away the fact that you are Christian, that's why you are supporting America in this war, then it will give you a rationale as to what needs to be done. Iran has never sponsored Boko Haram. Now, if you say Iran has sponsored Hamas, yes, Hamas is a Sunni. Yes, why has Iran sponsored Hamas? Because of strategic position, geographically. Hamas doesn't like Israel. Iran doesn't like Israel. So they are good. But in Nigeria, Iran has no strategic geographical position to get. Iran is sponsoring the Houthis, of course. The Houthis, yeah. Iran is sponsoring Hezbollah, yes. There are credible evidence to show that Iran is sponsoring all these groups. Iran has proxies in Syria, in Iraq, yes. There are credible evidence to show that Iran is sponsoring these people. But do we have any credible evidence to show that Iranian regime is sponsoring Boko Haram? No. But do we have evidence to show that they are members of the Western nations whose NGOs are funding Boko Haram? Yes. According to the defunct USAID, which was established and shown by Congressman Willie in the United States of America, when the USAID was brought down, it reveals that NGOs, Western-backed NGOs that benefit from funds of the USAID, were using these funds to sponsor terrorist networks in the world, such as Boko Haram. Now, second, is the United States of America sponsoring Boko Haram? The answer is no. The U.S., there's no credible evidence to show that the United States of America is sponsoring Boko Haram. The U.S. there's no credible evidence anywhere, whether it's come from Russia, China, whichever of their enemies, to prove that the U.S. is sponsoring Boko Haram. There's no evidence. So, Boko Haram is not being sponsored by USAID, did not sponsor Boko Haram, but rather NGOs who benefited from the funds of USAID, not benefited from those funds without the support of American government, are those ones that sponsored some of those groups. So, in essence, the American government, through the USAID, did not sponsor Boko Haram, did not give money to some of these terrorist groups as the U.S. government. But can they be proxies? Can there be individuals within the system that are capable of doing that? Yes. So this also idea or ideology that many will hide behind to say the U.S. government is sponsoring Boko Haram, quoting from USAID, it is false. It is a lie. The U.S. government has not in any way whatsoever has provided credible evidence, or neither has any Mossad, KGB, or any network proven that the U.S. government directly gave assistance to Boko Haram. Instead, there are credible evidence to show that the U.S. has given Nigerian government and government across the Sahel weapons to fight terrorist networks such as Boko Haram. So the government have received materials, weapons to fight Boko Haram, not the other way around. So before you come and comment and start expressing your childish attitude, I will want us to speak with facts, documented facts and evidence, so that you can counter me. And if you are ready for a debate, you hit it on the comment section. We'll put the debate session. Let's go and get facts